some did, is they say, essentially you're one with this awareness. And so to experience this is to enter what Jesus called the kingdom of God, or the realm of God. It sounds a little abstract, but really it's so obvious. It's so obvious. It's like this awareness is like the sea that fish swim in, only fish aren't necessarily aware of it, but by the time we got to human beings, we're the ones that can be aware that we have our being in this sea of awareness. It's quite an incredible thing. Eckhart Tolle, the author of Now and the New Earth, has made about $1 zillion off helping us to understand this. And he's doing a wonderful thing for the world, thank God for Eckhart Tolle. He calls it presence, being present, being aware of what is arising, but not identifying with what is arising. The enlightened being is one who has learned to identify on a permanent basis with this awareness. And this enables that person to enjoy all those passing thoughts and desires and emotions and feelings, but not to attach to them. And the Buddha said that when we do attach to them, that's what causes suffering. That's what's the cause of all suffering, is attaching to that which is transitory. So he said, well, don't attach to it. Just enjoy it. Let them come and go. Be delighted by them. And that when we learn to identify with this state of pure awareness, we're liberated. And this is why I think Jesus used metaphors like the mustard seed and the yeast. They're almost invisible. They're insignificant. And especially in our culture, when we attach significance to size, if something's big, if you can see it up there, it's really important. This renders this mustard seed and the yeast relatively insignificant. Yet any farmer knows how powerful mustard seed is. Just a very little bit of it can invade an entire crop and destroy it. And awareness is actually invisible. It's intangible. It's without substance. It doesn't seem as real as the feelings and the thoughts that are tearing us apart, the dramas that we've created. Those are real, man. Compared to our dream of that new Porsche that we lust after, the job that we have our eye on, or that person that we think would be a great partner for us and who we want, well, awareness just doesn't seem that real. It's just there. It's, as I said, the sea in which we live and move and have our being. And so we forget about what a miracle awareness is. It's taken the universe, friends, 13.7 billion years to arrive at this point where it can become conscious of itself through you and me. That's amazing. The universe has become more intimate. It's grown towards intimacy through this, through awareness. And it's taken until now, because of our nervous systems, we have the capacity to become aware that we're aware, to tap into this divine field of awareness. It's an amazing thing. So the invitation is to learn to identify with that. Not with the other part, to enjoy the other parts of our life. Yeah, sure. Scientists are baffled by consciousness. They do not know what to do, especially scientific materialists. What is it, they're saying? Where did it come from? Where do you find it? Is it in the brain? It's so interesting, right? Because we're desperately looking for it, all the while using it to do our science. That's why Jesus talked about so many of the metaphors of the kingdom of God were all about searching. Everyone's searching for the hidden pearl. They're searching for the treasure, searching for the lost coin. Prodigal son searching for himself. All the while we're in it. Right? So it's about waking up to it. So we're meant to connect with what is ultimately real. Not the things in our consciousness, but consciousness itself. And every tradition reports that this experience of enlightenment, of identifying with pure awareness, has characteristics associated with it. People just become joyful. They become incredibly compassionate with the suffering of the world. And so this is one of the sides of the coin of what it means to experience God directly in the tradition. But it's only one side of the cosmic coin. Or should I say one side of a spirit, of the experience of spirit. The other side that is inseparable but distinguishable is not the state of pure being or awareness, but the process of becoming. So if being is associated with enlightenment, becoming is associated with transformation in the realm of space and time. You know, being is mostly associated with the Eastern religious traditions, although we have this tradition in the Christian tradition as well. But becoming is a gift of modern science. This is what's so great about it, like it's religion or science. That's crazy. Particularly the sciences of cosmology and biology and developmental psychology, all of this now know empirically that the universe is evolutionary. It grows, it develops, it's developing from sort of a singularity into complexity, into compassion. It's winding itself up. We know this now at every level of reality. Particles develop into atoms, atoms into molecules, molecules into elements, elements into cells. Cells come alive on the planet Earth, bacteria, the 5 kingdoms of Earth, all the way through the development of consciousness and culture in human beings. It's all winding itself up. And so if we're not growing and developing, we're not participating in ultimate reality. But if we are consciously evolving, we're experiencing the kingdom of God. We're entering the realm of God. It's a direct experience of spirit. Again, this is pretty obvious, and yet I think we miss it because it's so obvious. So if God has anything to do with reality as we know it to be, then God's involved in evolution. And dare I say it, that the very being of God is manifesting in the realm of space and time, and has been manifesting for 14 billion years in this epic tale of creation that's resulted in us sitting here this morning. It's a beautiful, mysterious thing. So when we're participating consciously in that evolutionary process, we're experiencing the being of God, who is also developing where? Through us. Through me and through you. And when we're growing into the freedom and the fullness and the power of what it means to be fully human and fully alive, that is when we're growing in the capacity to take increasing numbers of perspectives, to be able to see reality through the lens of all it is, not just through our own egocentric lens. We're experiencing the heart and mind of God in creation. Sacred reality. We are not just human beings, we are humans becoming. Now, Jesus of Nazareth was born 1800 years before Darwin ever made his discovery or came up with his theory of evolution. So he didn't have that to work with, but he had a deep intuition that life was evolutionary in nature. And that's why he used the metaphors of seeds and the growth of a tree and fields or culture in which that growth happens, including all the images this morning. Parables of transformation like the prodigal son. Paul himself in his letter to the Romans, well, in a number of places, intuited that reality was evolutionary in nature. He said, you've got to grow with the growth that is from God. His letter to the Corinthians, when I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child, and when I became an adult, I put away childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we shall see face to face. See, we'll see with more clarity, more encompassing perspectives. It's all there. There's directionality to the universe. And it's moving towards ever more mature expressions of freedom and fullness of being and power to